Namaskar. Bhushan's Academy of Performing Arts and Visual Presentation welcomes you all for the online Vishwanriti Gana Bhushana Festival series on our Facebook page, Vishwanriti Bhushana. Every day we have an acclaimed artist, group, organization coming over and sharing their experiences, their journey, pondering over thoughts that you would have always dwelt thinking about. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ 10ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಿನಿಂದ ಭೂಷಣ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರದರ್ಶಕ ಕಲೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ದೃಶ್ಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ನಿಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪ್ರಖ್ಯಾತ ಕಲಾವಿದ, ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕಲಾವಿದರನ್ನು ಪರಿಚಯಿಸುತ್ತಲೇ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಈ ದಿನ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಖ್ಯಾತ ಗುರು, ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಖ್ಯಾತಿಯ ಪದ್ಮಶ್ರೀ ದಾತುಕ್ ರಾಮ್ಲಿ ಇಬ್ರಾಹಿಂ ಜಿ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರನ್ನ ಬರಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have acclaimed Bharatanatyam and Odissi artist of world repute, Sri Padmashri Ramli Ibrahim ji, who is a Malaysian-born dancer, a cultural icon, choreographer, and artistic director of Sutra Dance Theatre, and is recognized within and beyond Malaysia for his visionary and inclusive creativity. Trained in classical ballet, modern dance, Odissi, and Bharatanatyam, Ramli ji is known for his captivating performances and promoting the cultural vibrancy and diversity of Malaysian dance around the world. Born on 20th May 1953 in Kajang in Malaysia, Sri Ramli ji received his training in Odissi dance under Guru Devaprasad Das and in Bharatanatyam under Guru Adiyar K. Lakshman. He has also studied ballet and modern dance at Australian Ballet School in Melbourne. An outstanding exponent of Odissi dance, Sri Ramli ji has won wide acclaim for his distinctive style of presentation. He has single-handedly established Odissi dance in Malaysia and has been instrumental in transforming the dance scenario in that country. Besides performing at major international arts festivals and conferences, he has conducted innumerable workshops around the world. He, the chairperson of the Sutra Dance Company or the Sutra Dance Theatre, which he established in Kuala Lumpur in 1983, has choreographed dance production with unique artistic sensibility. In his institution, he has nurtured some of the wonderful male and female dancers who are also equally talented and are well known. He has received several Academy Awards, including the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, and of course, the acclaimed national honor, Padma Shri. Let's welcome Ramli ji to the show. Namaskar, Ramli ji.
Namaskar, Bhushan ji. Thank you very much for having you on your on the Facebook page. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm very glad and happy that you consented to be a part of this wonderful series that we are hosting, and I'm so glad that you could make it.
Thank you very much. This is a fantastic response to the present lockdown that we are experiencing worldwide. So it's a wonderful effort on your institution to have this.
The first obvious question I would want to ask is, being from a different city and a different country, how were you fascinated towards this classical art form? How did you think when did you actually get to experience Bharatanatyam or Odissi or any classical dance form of India?
Well, a lot of people think that the Indian culture is foreign to Malaysia. This is not so at all. So even the word diaspora somehow does not sit well with regards to Indians in Malaysia, because we have such close proximity with India. So my exposure to Indian culture, even Bharatanatyam, has been since I was small, because we see Bharatanatyam on television. Sometimes we walk along a road, we can hear the tatakali being used, the bells, the tintinabulation of the bells of dancers rehearsing or practicing. So I had seen both classical and semi-classical works when I was young, and I had always been fascinated. And I, of course, at that time, I never knew that I will eventually be an Indian classical dancer. But you know, my first exposure to dance had been on Malay dance, and later on with other forms like ballet, modern dance, and eventually when I was in Australia, I met up with people like Chandrabanu, and he's at that time he was bringing in Adir K. Lakshman. I'm talking about the early 70s, and so my exposure to the strict methodology of teaching Bharatanatyam has been for some time, you know, for more than 4 decades.
When did you, who initiated you to dance? I'm sure you said Chandraban ji, but then was it the first brush
No.
with the art form?
Not quite, because Chandrabanu was very much a kindred spirit. He was based in Melbourne, and I was at the University in Western Australia, and I was also working as a dancer at the same time with the West Australian Dance Company, as a part-time dancer, you know, because I was trained in ballet and modern dance. But I had met many kind of Indian dancers who do both classical and semi-classical work, even in Perth, and we do these dances. You know, where I had my Malay dance group then, but it was in Melbourne when I shifted to Melbourne to concentrate on my training in ballet, because I realized that I must just simply concentrate on training, that I met Chandra. This was in about 1975, and that we kind of recognized each other as kindred spirit. I was very much also training as a ballet dancer. The training was very vigorous at the Australian Ballet. You know, it's literally a one-to-one training of ballet. And whenever I had the spare time, I used to spend it with Chandra, who had an extremely wonderful household. In fact, I had introduced Chandra in a workshop demonstration to the Australian Ballet, to show them that there is such thing as any Indian club. You must think that this was in the 70s. This just post Louis Lightfoot days of Australia. And I remember Chandra saying that in his workshop, the first thing in the training of an Indian classical dancer is the Aramandi, which is what you call the demi-plie. That's at that time, I think we were really seeking, exploring not just dance, but going to galleries, going to performances, going to architectural events, going to very exciting exhibitions and things like that. So I think that was a time when we broadened our mind, and Chandra was a wonderful kindred soul to do this together.
How difficult was it as a non-Indian male to learn it in two different classical dance forms? Like, though your ethnicity is, of course, you said Malaysian, but you were exposed vibrantly there. How difficult was it to pursue two different classical art forms at the same time?
You know, when you were young, you never thought of anything as difficult. You took the challenge and you follow your destiny and passion rather than trying to analyze what is my prospects later and all that. I didn't have anything. I just followed my bliss. I just followed what I felt I wanted to do with my life, and I followed my passion, so to speak. So it doesn't come across to me. You know, I was also doing ballet. I mean, morning, afternoon, evening. I was dancing. I was training, and I was a virtuoso in the sense that my body can do anything. So the Indian classical dance, as compared to ballet, physically is it's the nuances that is difficult. It's not the technique itself. I find that I can, when I'm teaching now, I can tell my dancers, look, I can teach you the most difficult adavus, but the rasa is something that I cannot really bring the final the tonalities, nuances of rasa is the most difficult part of Indian dance. So at that time, I didn't think anything was difficult, anything was beyond me. So I just go on and I was doing things that I love doing.
How supportive was your immediate family, as most patriarch societies would hold and put man more responsible for from the financial perspective? How supportive was your immediate family to this?
Bhushanji, you know, before I went to Australia, I was already in a Royal Military College, one of the, creme de la creme of Malaysia. So I was in a military college. So I was suppressed for at least 3 years. So going to Australia and being totally free, seeing ballet performances, seeing the Ballet Philippines and Asian dances flying through stage and all that was very inspiring, and I was determined to at least be exposed to that technique. So I was not at all, every year was a miracle, so to speak, and you just want to continue learning and learning. And because I was under the Colombo Plan scholarship, so I extended it year by year, thinking that I might be recalled back to Malaysia to fulfill my scholarship as an engineer, because I did my degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Western Australia. So every year was a miracle that I could stay and work in Australia as a dancer, as a professional dancer. And at the same time, I was dancing Indian classical dance. By that time, I had also kind of shifted to Sydney, and I had a certain a repertoire of Bharatanatyam, and I was exposed to also Odissi through a wonderful dancer, Shakuntala Naya, who was a disciple of Hari Krishna Bahera, so to speak. Though later on I went to Puri to learn, and then after that I studied under Deva Prasad Das and found, so to speak, my forte, the school of Odissi that I wanted to learn, which was the Deva Prasad style.
Did you face any cultural challenges when you were pursuing this art? Were you subjected to any kind of oppositions pertaining to religion, or how were your peers?
Well, there is a lot of ideological, societal, and religious barriers. I was a Muslim, and I was a male. I was doing ballet, and then I was doing Indian classical dance. It's just too many things for me to sit back and say that is this right or not right? I just literally, I just, it's like walking in a field of mines, and it's better to trust the universe. You almost say that the universe will look after you, and just walk through that mine and hope for the best. But actually, I didn't even think like that. It was a privilege for me to dance. Morning classes and all that are the happiest time. Looking back, I thought it was that time when I don't have to, like now I have to worry about the administration. I have to worry about a whole institutional kind of thing, like you, Bhushanji, you would have to look after the funding and things like that. I was happy just doing and being able to do what I did. And I think this is the naivety of youth. And it's the only way to survive.
Can you share your learning experience? How was the learning experience those days when you were learning two styles from two teachers? How were they strict? Was it very the training condition itself was very strict, or how was it? How was it?
I was already a ballet dancer. When as a young ballet dancer, I was able to dance with even Nureyev, because Nureyev had come over the Australian Ballet with the London Festival. So I was really exposed to the rigors of dance, and I had known right from the start, dance is not glamorous. There's a lot of hard work. You cannot just get by with talent, but there's a lot of hard work involved. But where it comes to Indian classical dance, Lakshman sir, after he had taught in Melbourne, he would come to Sydney, he would stay with me, and we started early morning. This continued when I was able to go to Chennai to learn. At that time, he had a wonderful attached kind of semi enclosed place in Gandhinagar, and this is the best possible place because there's a free flow of air. You're not in an aircon room, but outside, and this is where we had a fantastic dance from early in the morning. At 7, we are already sort of working, and he would come, that whole stretch. But where Odissi is concerned, it's a little bit more, because Lakshman sir was very regulated person. You must not forget that he's from Kalakshetra, so he's highly disciplined. He is a very symmetrical person. He wants order. And whereas later on, when I learned with Deba Prasad Das, he is a very Dionysian person. He has flashes of genius and unpredictability. And I learned a lot through my Guru Bhai, which was Guru Gajendra Kumar Panda, who I later on, when Deba Prasad Debuji passed on, I continued my relationship with this young guru, who I encourage also. Of course, we encourage each other, but I was the older person, and I know exactly the direction which I think Gajendra also should aim at, and we started commissioning new works to Gajendra, and this developed a very distinctive Odissi repertoire for Sutra.
Do you think there were social barriers to male dancers pursuing Indian classical dance? From your experiences in the society, is the society gender biased?
Extremely so. I mean,
In India, of course, yes. But then, when you come from Malaysia, learn a classical dance from India and present it globally, how do you think is the art gender biased, or should I say?
Of course,
Uh,
the art is extremely gender biased. I mean, the bias certainly in Indian classical dance is towards women. So women literally have taken the dance, and at one stage the men had been relegated to teaching, and well, I mean, so only certain forms like Kathakali or Odissi from the Gotipua tradition, or maybe Yakshagana, that the male dancers from that traditional groups are able to increase that. But even Gotipuas are increasingly becoming Odissi dancers. So you have that Gotipua tradition declining, really. But so there are incredible gender bias. We've done many festivals that is to bring to attention the declining number of male dancers, especially solo dancers in the male tradition of Bharatanatyam and Odissi, because sabas and organizers, festival organizers would prefer to have a female dancers because they are beautiful, they're more beautiful, so to speak. But of course, there are male dancers who kind of come in, and even in the Western tradition, the male dancers like Nijinsky or Nureyev or Barishnikov, who came in and just wham, bam, and they inspire a whole generation of not just male dancers, but generation of dancers. So, and in Indian tradition, you have people like Ram Gopal, Uday Shankar, who came in, and the impact is still very strong in the minds of dancers. But the number of male dancers is still very little comparatively. I have not had whenever we have a young boy coming to class, is like, oh my God, a male dancer's coming, hopefully. So we really look after them. So I don't have many male dancers at all. So when we have a male dancer, we feel like we are very lucky. So parents don't send their children, male children, to dance at all in Malaysia, But I think it's clear that dance the effort that you put in dance don't commensurate, what you get to the effort that you put in. You don't, it's difficult to survive as a dancer, Bhushanji, you know that. You have to teach, then thoroughly you dance to have a parallel career as a dancer. It's almost impossible to live just as a dancer. That's a fact.
As a thought that came into my mind, I should say, a few years ago, we always thought Odissi looks good on women. Then there was a time when we had invited several male dancers. We started a festival called as Bhushan, and we had several male dancers coming up. And that was the time I had to sit back and see and said, wow, Odissi looks so good when a man is also dancing. So the perspective probably, and now I'm so used to it, I feel if there is a group of male Odissi dancers or a male Bharatanatyam repertoire dancing, it's amazing to see, and it's equally beautiful, rather I should say, empowering, and equally doing justice as a female dancer would carry off. But yes, the society needs to probably, as you said, rethink on these lines and say how good or how.
Yes. Basically, I feel that solo forms are not gender biased, whether it's Bharatanatyam, Odissi, or Kathak. A good dancer is a good dancer. And I really believe that, for a good dancer, you have to balance your anima and your animus. You have to be both kind of male and female, because you are an actor as a dancer in traditional form. So you cannot be just one person. You cannot just be a beautiful woman, or you cannot be just a male, masculine male in doing Indian classical dance, because you have to take so many roles. You have to be almost androgynous.
Why did you relocate to Malaysia post learning? Some learn and stay back, and was it a conscious thought? Like, so
I did. I did, because I I think there was a time when I thought that uh, I I was psychically connected to Malaysia more than I was in Australia. In fact, um, I can't remember much about Australia except the fact that I was there for almost 12 years. Because psychically, I the things I remember is in Malaysia. And psychically also I'm connected to India or in Indonesia. Because this must be a very strong pull as an artist. When I go to certain places, somehow I'm very connected to Odisha. I'm connected to Puri, for example. Whenever I go to Odisha, I must go to Puri, back to Puri, because it's almost like those turtle that go back again. You have to connect again to your kind of a psychic origin. So I think I did a right thing to connect back again to Malaysia and make Malaysia my base, because I find that whatever it is, as an artist, the challenges and the kind of engagement that I have with both my art form and with artists, the meaningful one is here in Australia, in Malaysia, and not in Australia, but also in Asian forms, in India and in Indonesia, where I used to have a house in Bali or in Java, and somehow whatever they whenever I go there, I feel very connected.
Tell us something more. When did Sutra happen? And the creative, I should say your creative offspring, Sutra. When did this
Well,
happen? And what was the
well,
thought behind the name?
Sutra Dance Theatre was formed in 1983, so that makes us almost more than 35 years old in Malaysia. But you must remember that before that, I was already functioning as a professional dancer in Australia and had traveled all over the world. At one point in the early 80s, in 81, 79, that's when I was performing in New York, then I met Indrani Rahman, who helped me, who convinced me that I should should meet up with Deva Prasad Das. But Sutra was formed in 1983, basically because I needed an umbrella where I can do the things that I wanted to do in terms of my presentation. So I'm not subservient to having a big banners at the back of me and all that kind of thing, which I hated. And I can then conceive my own presentations, which I was used to with, say, the Sydney Dance Company, where I was a professional dancer for more than 7 years. So I was able to really look at lighting, look at set design, look at foyer display, and I really believe that people, when they come into the theatre, they are transported into another experience. So the Sutra Dance Theatre was formed in 1983. It was only about 1986 that I started teaching. And then 87, I started with Bharatanatyam first, and then I brought up my first Odissi dances when I taught Odissi. And Deva Prasad passed away in 1986. So 87 I started teaching in Odissi and brought up this new generation of Odissi dancers. Now there are so many Odissi dancers, but Bharatanatyam, there was one point where I stopped teaching Bharatanatyam because I think it was a bit too much. Now I really understand the fact that the ocean of knowledge in one form, you really have to concentrate. But sometimes when you're young, the incredible repertoire of Adyar K. Lakshman, the varnams and the kirtanams that he has is so powerful that you want everything. So we have that repertoire, but I stopped teaching Bharatanatyam because I found that I really can't expect people to have the same commitment and passion as I expect them to be, you know. So I get a little bit kind of annoyed when I find that you know, I've sacrificed my weekend to teach, and find that there's not sufficient people are not, you know, not coming sufficiently. You know, I have 5 or 6 people, and that's not enough. I should have 20, for example. You know, so I was naive enough to think like that. But when Lakshman sir passed away, I realized that there's a whole legacy of Bharatanatyam that is with ours, with the music that we have commissioned to Lakshman sir. And I started again about 5-6 years ago to build up the Bharatanatyam repertoire. And so we have both Bharatanatyam and Odissi back again into the center, you know. But at the same time, you must realize that, you know, I was also a contemporary person. You know, I'm not a traditional guru like Adyar sir, Lakshman sir, or Deva Prasad sir. I'm very modern. So I, you know, I train my dancers in contemporary style, in ballet. You know, I mean, if they need Surya Namaskar or yoga to improve their kind of breathing or pranayama kind of thing, you know, we were exposed to that, you know. And my friends from Java comes in, they are taught Javanese dance. So they are also very good contemporary dancers. So now as a dancer, I feel that Sutra dancers are exposed to both the classical and contemporary kind of ideas, so that their vision of dance is wider, it's bigger. But as you know, I mean, you know, each work, each style, each form requires such an immersion of that form that that you really need several lifetimes to be you know, to delve right into the center, the core of the work.
I'm curious to know what are the difficulties you face back there where similar practitioners of the art form from different ethnicity are performing and have institutions in the same city as yours. Is there competition? Is there more of how does it function there?
I think all of us have a problem with funding. You know, the challenges in creating a work is the challenges that we love. You know, the challenges of composing a work, of the challenges of working with a musician, a composer. These are wonderful challenges, but the administrative challenges, the funding, how to get the money to sustain the institution, the dancers, these are the worst kind of challenges that face the artists, as you know. And but it is a real challenge. And you know, in Malaysia, it's even tenfold more difficult, because the government does not have the kind of funding as the you know, I mean, you have the Sangeet Natak Academy, you have the state cultural departments, and you have several wonderful corporates who are patron of the arts. But in Malaysia, we're still struggling on that. And fortunately, as a company, Sutra has not depended on just the Indian audience. So we have opened ourselves, and we say that you want a good dance production, you come and see us. Not because we are Indian classical dancer, but because we are good. So we've become a kind of a mainstream. So we are able to get into a large theater and have a season. A season is not just 1 day or 2 days, but maybe a week season, you know. And this is very important, because I really feel that we have put so much work in a production. We have called in the lighting designer, the set designer, the exhibition at the foyer or whatever it is. We cannot just have it in one day and then back up the next in late of the night. So we have a week season, and fortunately, we are talking about relatively large theatre. So the entity that has sustained us are the audience, not the funding. We didn't have to look for the funding. So we have to be very, very careful in our marketing strategy, in the way that the excellent thing that we have to the standard that we have to keep. So we we survive because of the audience.
That is everywhere, but does crowdfunding or something like that happen there? How do you support your festivals and productions?
Yes, I need to engage certain corporates, not many of them, but I think I would depend more on individuals. I mean, I would like to claim on Buckminster Fuller, who mentioned that the survival of the human civilization is dependent on the individual and not on political or economic systems. And this is true as far as I'm concerned, because actually the relationship between the real cultural links between Malaysia and, say, India or Indonesia are sustained by individual links. And the political links come in and out. It's more PR than the actual real human links. And it's, you'll find that the activities of, Malaysia have incredible performances coming from India, and it's being sustained by individuals, not individuals who run sabas or corporates, yes, but very passionate individuals. So I trust in individuals, really. But crowdfunding, we are not we haven't reached that level of American kind of crowdfunding. But are you having crowdfunding in India? I would be surprised.
It has just started now because it depends on it. Just during the pandemic, people started to open up about this crowdfunding concept.
Yes, but a lot of the concept during the pandemic, because there's just so many online. We were told from my Indian friends that the Madras festival has become an online festival now, because there's just so many things happening that the good, bad, and the indifferent are all lumped together, that the value of things become confused. But whatever it may, it has reached out. It will find its own level, I trust. I've always find that India is always a kind of a jungle that things grow, and you just have to wade through this incredible jungle and revel in it, and that's fine for me. But a lot of the so-called crowdfunding, if it's not a political crowdfunding, the artistic crowdfunding somehow has not kind of got into that. People actually take a lot of artistic things online for granted.
We've always seen your costumes are a little path-breaking and have evoked a lot of controversy in the past also. Your take on that? Of course, your costumes are wonderful, but I'm sure some are for and some say it is path-breaking. What do you have to say?
Well, if you think about the Ordney case, which was almost 16 years ago, it's an old story with regards to Sutra's controversial costume. Basically, we don't want to be known as the Ordney Company. We'd rather be known as a company that is doing path-breaking in dance, in composition, in dancing, rather than they're controversial. Basically, there's nothing controversial. I think it was basically my dances
So
were not.
rather pull too much for the focus should be more on dance rather than it should have been the people should have observed the dance rather than the costumes.
Well, that itself brought in a lot of discussion, and I think what is auchitya, what is proper,
Yes.
need to be discussed in an intelligent way. And I remembered Sukanya Rehman brought in 3 pictures of Ragini Devi, Indrani Rehman, and herself, and she said 3 generations without Orni. So I think. That discussion is a little bit at this point of time when in YouTube or in present situation, there is so much to select. You really have to develop your own discerning taste, and you decide whether to take in and or to discard certain things, and I mean, for Odyssey, you have to come to terms with the fact that Odyssey had transcended barriers, and this is a good thing because it has become also the engagement of so many artists around the world. This is how a dynamic and exquisite classical form like Odyssey has transcended barriers. And for that matter, you have to have the input from Madhavi Mudgal, Sharmila Biswas, Ramli Ibrahim, or any NRIs from the States, because this is how that classical form become dynamic and fertilized by all these ideas, because all these people really love Odyssey. They are not trying to do something. It's the other one is, these people I named are people who are not commercialized. These are very serious people. They have thought about Odyssey and they want to contribute positively to Odyssey.
My observation has always, whenever I see your Arangetrams, it always comes around with a theme and are titled very beautifully. Probably Wandering Thoughts or Moving Poetry. What was the idea behind this? What exactly? And even the stage setup, the decor, the lighting, all goes with that. Each Arangetram has got a theme and a name, and the artists are, that is not termed as an Arangetram or probably a presentation. It always goes with the title. So that is the amount of curiosity that you've generated among the dancers globally. Can you elaborate a few sentences on that?
I hardly take on any more Arangetrams now because the last Arangetram was possibly 15 years ago. Because I just felt that by the time that we are ready to do an Arangetram, the dancer is fully established as a professional dancer, so to speak. And there's so much effort put in the Arangetram that I mean, you take, as you know, I take as many as 50, 60 classes of the girl before I thought that she's worthy of doing an Arangetram. The analysis and also the music with I mean, actually during the pandemic, I had seen a wonderful the Kamas Varnam, which I love from Adyar Sir, being done by a great one of these great disciples, Roja Kanan, and I used to do this and also take the Arangetram. So during the COVID lockdown, I restudied it again. The Sholaputtu was redone again. But I have not done Arangetram. I've not even thought of having another Arangetram because it's really not worth it for me to do the Arangetram because it's too much effort, and many times the Arangetram is the beginning of an end of a dancer. And so, after the Arangetram, they think that they've got a degree and they can sit back. But for me, the Arangetram is just the beginning. So, and it's, in Malaysia, it's very expensive. So if you are not going to be a professional dancer, why bother? Why bother me, or why bother your parents to put so much money into it? So I was not going to get a lot of money It's just for the love of the dance that we do the Arangetram. So if you're not going to do it professionally, then forget about it.
I was coming to the title part. The titles are all titled in
Yes.
such a
Yes, the title is very much related to the dancer. I remember one I would call Storming Destiny, because Shantona had to grapple with her destiny. She's about to leave to do her medical degree. She, it was difficult because she had all this energy that she still have not finished. If you don't finish that energy, you don't exercise that demon within you in terms of dancing, then you still have got that much left, unfulfilled karma within you. So her title was Storming Destiny, and her explanation towards her work relate to it, because it's very much a soft therapy for her also. And so is with each one of the others. I mean, I think General Lau, Profound Grace, I remembered, Suchitra.
I am watching Storming Destiny. I remember watching Storming Destiny. The name itself is like very different than, instead of calling a Bharatnatyam, Evening of Bharatnatyam, or probably Amargam or something, you said Storming Destiny. That is a lot of curiosity.
Yeah, but that's a title. The caption is Bharatanatyam, Arangetram Bharatanatyam and all that. So it's not. But I remembered once, long time ago, when I did my first work was called Kritakatari Kitatum, and Lakshman Service it. What is this? Kritakatari Kitatum, I mean, so at that time, I must tell you that at that time, those titles now, which we throw as if, we've always done, it was not like that. It was like, Ramli Ibrahim in solo Bharatanatyam. That's it. And it's they just want that Bharatanatyam. It's nothing complicated, and the word choreography does not feature at all. I remember that. So it's times have changed, as it should be.
Do male dancers in Malaysia face the threat of exploitation?
Well, I think we love to be exploited. Give us some more work. No, but I. How do you mean by exploitate? Yes, I think to a certain extent, appearing in online.
Not just the artistic way. The other, how the industry functions. It is like. It is not just we all would want to get exploited artistically, of course. But then
Yeah.
be projected and people would want to see and all that. But then exploiting of the other sorts, where you're taken for granted, and the upcoming dancers, do they face this threat even there?
You mean the Me Too type of exploitation?
Could be, yeah.
No, I don't think it is as bad as in India, because there's just too much competition in India. This Saba thing, I mean, how many Sabas are there in Chennai or in Bangalore now? Because Bangalore is just becoming the next Chennai. And, I mean, the Indian classical dance phenomena is just incredible. Even in America, I remembered talking to Judy Mitoma when I was in UCLA, and Judy would, I was a Fulbright scholar in UCLA, and Judy would tell me that Ramli, all the ballet classes seem to be closing, but the Bharatanatyam studios, I mean, Bharatanatyam studios could be a living room, and where they put all the chairs out, and there you are, the Bharatanatyam classes, voila. So there is a community kind of thing with Bharatanatyam. It's part of the community empowerment, which is wonderful. But of course, what we are looking for now is that 3% of excellent dancers. You know, we are looking for that. This is where we are not. I mean, people like myself are not just looking at the popularity of Bharatanatyam. We are looking at that creme de la creme of the dancers or musicians or singers or artists who are carrying the torch of this the authentic spirit of the classical world, where be it Bharatanatyam or Odissi or Kathak or even Hindustani or Carnatic music. So these are that special people. Exploitation, I think we there's just very little dances about. You know, we don't have that kind of a Sabha tradition where we are fighting into that so many people vying team.
In the journey so far, did you have any kind of unpleasant? I'm sure there could be many unpleasantries, but then something that distinctly reminds you, constantly haunts you, which you have transformed it into strength and made some production or dwelled on the thought and did something.
Yes, you know, I mean, there are several of that, because those are the challenges that one faces. The fact that, you know, Malaysia is increasingly becoming more fundamentalist. And this might be so with India also. Um, but I think artists are the real authentic. What do you say? You know, they don't care. They don't care what the fundamentalist, whether it could be Hindu or Muslim or evangelical Christian. They just go straight into the core of the spirit of art. And I think this is where, no matter what era it is, artists are still the shaman. So, you know, if they're true to themselves, whether they are visual artists or performing artists, they believe that they are part of that universal spirit that needs to be expressed, and they're like the spores that's all over there, and they breathe that and then express. But other challenges of funding, I think, is one of real challenges for me, because because a Muslim doing Indian classical dance, it's now suddenly, you are in a platform where you are being celebrated for being multiracial or multi or whatever it is. I am completely untouched by that. I'm just doing what I like. But there is also one aspect, and I think you must feel this, that there's a lot of backstabbing that happens, and it happens from the very people that you don't think they will do, and this is the major part of it. And with the social media, you get this, and you can't, you just let it go, because you just hope that it will just fizzle off or whatever it is. But the very people that you think you had helped to foster are the one that really want to, I mean, the problem with me is that I am still functioning as an artist. I with my other with my my dancers who have become independent now. I'm still I'm still there, I guess. So I'm not kind of a venerable guru that they will just touch my feet or whatever it is. But there you are, because these are the challenges, and these are the kind of thing that you have to get over with. At the same time, you have to be generous with everybody, because you really have to say that the field is big enough for everyone to prosper. And I think there should be a shared objective in terms of education and culture that can go side by side, to increase the awareness of the real importance of culture and arts in the nation building, which I think is important. I mean, I'm just not talking about Indian dance, but I think, because I am a Malay doing Indian classical dance, but I'm also promoting and feel that Malay dance is important, Chinese dance is important, and I have friends who are in all these fields, and we work together, hopefully for a shared cause of building up a more comprehensive and multiracial culture for the nation.
What, according to you, that as a dancer should do that he or she stand up and out, apart from good dancing, of course?
I think has to be a divine madness. And there's a point when that dancer is able to take on the role without thinking of the audience. And at that point, the audience is able to come through within the dance. So that's the point when the audience and the dancer become one. So the dancer then transcends himself to be in the dance. And this is where the larger tradition of the dance is important. And so I find that Indian classical dance represent the collective psyche where the audience is able to get in there. So it's a bit more difficult for individual, say, modern dancers, because I feel that when you do a fantastic dance of Shiva, for example, then the audience has got a point of reference to really enter that metaphor and symbol that Shiva represents.
Tell us something more about your outreach programs through Sutra, that is.
Well, I think in Kuala Lumpur, there was a time when I think, just like in Chennai, every corner of the streets, there is a Bharatanatyam class. But in Kuala Lumpur, so it's taken that point, and I thought of with another organization of reaching out to the out of city centers group where it's difficult for young people to come to Kuala Lumpur. There was traffic jam, it's a long distance and all that thing. It's better for me to go there. And this is exactly what we did. And we had already done that about 7 years ago. And now these dancers are coming up, and they are those ugly ducklings that have become the beautiful swans, because there is that process of distillation and refinement that happens through the discipline. It's not going to happen when you just say, "Oh, darling, how wonderful." You really have to mold them, and you need to mold them when they are young. The body is gangly still, and the funny thing is that those dancers whom you first thought when you first thought going to be fantastic, are not necessarily the one that 7 years later are going to be the one that has become that butterfly. It's the other one that somehow not so good, that has slowly but surely the body has changed. The body has become longer, the legs become longer, the neck has become longer, and they have become a wonderful dancer. And these are the outreach program dancers that kind of become the new generation of Sutra artists, which and also because I've trained them also in ballet and also modern dance. They can do a split jeté and also do a Bharatanatyam or Odissi performance as well. And the next is to inject in them the kind of rasa that you Indian dancers are able to do it, because the soil is so rich that, Lakshman sir would say that, there's no problem, Ramli, because here the soil is so rich that the rasa comes through the dance. So not that I want to prove them wrong. This is something that I do tell my dancers, that, you really must prove that rasa is universal, that rasa you can have the most nuanced rasa. You can project that, and well, I think we are trying to get through that to that stage where a more total dancer who are physically wonderful, at the same time the rasa comes out from the body and the face, and together resonant with music.
You have been teaching probably since 83. You've been teaching. The process that you teach, does it follow the same way you learned, or it's different from the pattern of your learning?
It's very different because my teachers are extremely traditional. Adya Lakshman sir and Deba Prasad sir, very traditional. Lakshman sir, because of his Adavu's system is extremely, it's the Kalakshetra style. It's Apollonian. It's symmetrical. But and Deba Prasad do not believe in Adavus. He would tell me, Ramli, Jagannath has got 4 different places. Each places, different people are coming in. So what is inside is you cannot approach Jagannath, the Odyssey, even Nritta part in the way the Adavu is done. So I love this idea, because new movement have come out, and I thought the Kalakshetra Adavus have kind of done a kind of has taken away many new other Adavus of the Pandanallur or the Valavur style, and you can find it's more richer in the Pandanallur or the Valavur style, though Kalakshetra is from the Pandanallur style also. So but my teaching is different because I prepare the body first, because I guess I based it on myself. So for about half an hour, we just prepare a very, very substantive body conditioning exercises, and to prepare the body to stretch it, to make it long, to strengthen the right jumps and all those kind of things, So we have half an hour of just full body conditioning before we go into the Adavus and the repertoire. So I sometimes take much longer in my classes, not just at least 2 hours or 2.5 hours.
What are your exclusive Bharatanatyam productions?
We have, for Bharatanatyam productions, we have a lot of production, like what you mentioned, Storming Destiny, or production Subtle Body, or we have a production that has thematically have something to say. It could be just on Shiva, or it could be just on Krishna. But I have been extremely clear about my relationship with Odissi and Bharatanatyam. For Odissi, we have commissioned a lot of new works, in which I have conceive of the idea and allow the teacher, say Gajendra Kumar Pandit, to do the work. I was not interested to compose the steps, because I want it to be as authentic as possible. For Bharatanatyam, we normally concentrate on the repertoire of Adya Lakshman sir. He has so many varnams, so many kirtanams, so many wonderful tilanas. So we almost play around the marga rather than do. I'm never interested in dance drama, so we never do a dance drama. We don't do a mira, or we don't. We just don't do the dance drama. We concentrate for Bharatanatyam a repertoire that is based on the Marga.
We tried streaming in your video, but wasn't possible. So I was thinking if you could just do little Abhinaya sitting there, I would sing. That will be an honor for me that I you dance. Just probably a Jagadodharana or something that you you can just if you could do.
Well, you've caught me completely unaware. One of the I thought one of the wonderful work of Deva Prasad is his work on Navarasa, in which he has worked on the Stai Bhava and the colors that is related to the Stai Bhava, because he doesn't want to play around if he concentrate on the red color, he doesn't want the blue or whatever it is to come to it, So, for example, in his Navarasa, where Rama and Sita, I think you have known the Navarasa based on
Yes.
on that. So, for example, in Wonderman, for example, he doesn't want to play around other emotions but wonderment, So, or in Viram, Viram Danu Banchane, So when he does the other princess that comes to the Swayamvara of Sita, he doesn't. It has to be again Viram, but done by a different, So the idea of the Viram has got to be there. So it's not mixed with Raudram or whatever it is, So these are the kind of area that I find he had understood that. So in for example in this part, the Ram Danu Banjani, I mean it's that when Rama comes in, it is also Viram. It's when he breaks the bow, it's Viram, and he must not. He doesn't want to take the composition of Viram into other areas of rasa. So I appreciate this kind of conscious
Treatment towards, yes, the consciousness towards these kind of thoughts that
Yes.
go into a composition, not just
Yes.
by dwelling on the basic Thai Bhava, but graduating into the
Yes.
Thai Bhava to Anubhava. I understood.
Right.
I definitely
So
understood.
I felt that the minimalistic approach of Odyssey by Deva Prasad, I think I was attracted to it because intuitively by that, because I find that it is right that he did not want to embellish more than necessary on the rasa. So I thought that's a wonderful kind of insight towards his work that I find. For Lakshman sir, he was not. He is not very much into involved Abhinaya. He hardly taught us any Javalis. So, I think at his time, a lot of the dancers had to go to other gurus to learn really kind of the Abhinayas that we have now. It's to mummies, to Savitri Akka or whatever it is to learn the Abhinayas. But he was much more into the big gestures, the Ananamanatha Maduva, the Purvi Kalyani, or the so my work had always been more Tandav oriented, and now with Jayanti Subramaniam, who's also helping us and all that thing, it has softened it a bit more because of I had modeled a lot of the repertoire that I choose to pick from Lakshman sir is the one, the Simhasanastite, or of course the Nindamayam, or at that time was the Tode Mangalam was great, great kind of work. The Tilana, the Hindolam Kandayakam and all that. It's the work that Adi, the Hindolam Adi and all that. They are difficult work, and these are the work that we chose because they and they are excellent for group works also.
We know Ramli as a performer, Ramli as a student, Ramli as a guru. Which role is closer to your heart?
I think all.
One, but then there is something that you love the stage time, or you love when you're with your students, or when you're more with your own space and creating something nice. Which part of yourself do you like the most?
I think I'm reluctant in. I am beckoned by the dance rather than I mean, it's what I had said in my book, quoting Martha Graham. The dance had chosen me. I'm always a reluctant. I mean, in class you find me at the back. I don't make myself come forward, and but once I'm on stage, my concentration is total. So I literally go into, I don't see. I mean, I'm always amazed people saying, oh, there's my granddad, my grandfather is there, and I saw she left the hall or whatever it is. I will never notice that, and my concentration is total, so to speak. So I guess as a performer, I'm absolutely focused. As a teacher, I'm a very reluctant teacher. But once I am teaching, I am totally, I'm like a doctor who can see what is wrong with you in terms of your body posture, or how you should. How can you bring out the potential, much more potential in you? I mean, as a choreographer, I've always worked to bring out the dancers' movement rather than my own movement that I want to impose on the dancers. So I'm very good at looking at improvisation and then picking up the improvisational movement to make it into the movement of the dancer.
How has the pandemic treated you?
Very well.
Post-pandemic.
Very well. Because I have been so busy that during the pandemic, I am able to look at me. I spend more time gardening. I spend more time reading. Sometimes I am able to, to look at sutra, to do the documentation, the archival things, a lot of things. I painted, so the things that I can't do, I spend more time with my pets, it was I make use of it positively to reflect. And I think it came in time for me because I was just having too much things on my plate, and I mean, not to say I love the pandemic, but I took it in my stride. I mean, the situation with the world is with the situation with life is that the only thing that's constant is change. So Yeah. Okay.
Question is because of late you have performed, you've composed in Malay, you have composed in Malay also, the classical composition. So probably one of them is asking you that question.
No, I think the question is, you know, in Bharatanatyam, we are not just doing the language in Tamil, but we are doing work in Kannada. Krishna Ni Begani Baro is in Kannada. We do a lot in Telugu, and of course Sanskrit also. And we analyze this language, and I think the language of dance is Abhinaya. So that is the language in dance. So I really think that um, the the even in Odyssey, you have Oriya Abhinaya. Now people are doing all kinds of languages, because it's what I mean by the dance has transcended that. If it is retained, is people liked it, because if it's retained some of works of Rabindranath Tagore, then so be it. We should revel. We should open ourselves to that. So the language is various, I think, but the language of dance for me is Abhinaya, and the gesture language that brings out Abhinaya. The facial, the Mukha Abhinaya, the Angika Abhinaya, and all that kind of thing. That's the language, and the language per se is how you bring it out. But I think that language is universal.
If Ramli ji is not dancing, choreographing, or composing, what does Ramli ji do? Or we can catch Ramli ji doing?
You can catch me gardening, actually. Yes, I find nature is very, very therapeutic. I find animals very therapeutic. I am very much a voyeur. I watch things. I watch things. That's why I think uh, acting is very artificial. I prefer watching people. I remember when I was very ill in Orissa because I had hepatitis, and I was in my room, and outside my room are the workers, women and men carrying the bricks and putting things and all that. I used to just peep through the window and watch all the actions and the things and what they do, and I find them fascinating, and they kept me engaged morning, evening, when I was very, very ill, because it's just very interesting. And I think this is one of the traits of a creative person, and nature and human, and have you ever watched people when they are not they don't they know that they don't know that being watched. I find that fascinating.
That's amazing. So far, you've been a wonderful source of inspiration for so many dancers, fans of yours, and I'm so happy and glad that you consented to be a part of the show with not even prodding too much. I instantaneously said yes, and I'm so happy to have you in this conversation, and I'll cherish, and I'm sure our viewers also cherish this moment. And this, I would say, this pandemic is blessing in disguise, though, because this is the time we get to hear from people like you experiences.
Thank you for having me, Bhushanji. And wow, I am so delighted to be part of your festival series. You have worked so hard to bring all these people together, and it's very difficult. Always running a festival is like preparing a banquet. You never quite enjoy the banquet because you're worried about this and that. And I know how it is like. And so a lot of hard work, but it's good karma.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for doing this. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed talking to you, sharing your thoughts. And it was definitely, we are so glad and happy. Hopefully, we should be, this pandemic ends and we get to see each other soon, not just virtually, but even
Yes.
on stage and
Yes.
on different
And
platforms.
Mysore is one of the places I've not visited, and I know it's a wonderful place. So
Yes.
anytime, do invite me.
Please, we would be looking forward to have you as one of the performers in our forthcoming festivals, and likewise, we would also be happy to be part of Sutra's festivals also.
Yes, definitely. And we pray that the pandemic will be a thing of the past soon. And I am missing India very, very much. And can't wait when the door open again and we can go back again to India.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this wonderful tit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ramli, the Padma Shri Ramli Ibrahim Ji, all the way from Malaysia. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. So much of knowledge, so much of in-depth information about the art, craft, engineering, and technicalities that goes into dancing, not just by dancing. I hope you all enjoyed today's show, and tomorrow also we'll look forward meeting another dignitary from the same art horizon who is making a mark or who has made a lot of news throughout. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ನಾಳೆಯೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಶ್ವ ನೃತ್ಯ ಗಾನ ಭೂಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಮತ್ತೊಬ್ಬ ಅತ್ಯುನ್ನತ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಕಲಾವಿದ ಅಥವಾ ಸಂಘ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಲಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಹಾಗೆ ನೀವು ಬನ್ನಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮವರನ್ನು ಕರೆತನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಈ ದಿನದ ಈ ಒಂದು ಮುಖಪುಟದ ಅಂತರ್ಜಾಲ ಉತ್ಸವವನ್ನು ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಕೊನೆಗೊಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸ್ಟೇ ಇಂಡೋರ್ಸ್, ಸ್ಟೇ ಸೇಫ್, ಫೈಟ್ ಕೊರೋನಾ, ಬಟ್ ಕೀಪ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ವಿಶ್ವ ನೃತ್ಯ ಗಾನ ಭೂಷಣ ಆನ್ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಪೇಜ್ ವಿಶ್ವ ನೃತ್ಯ ಭೂಷಣ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಯವರೆಗೂ ಶುಭರಾತ್ರಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you.